Again, I mentioned that we're P3R, so we really wanted to focus on our branding, because as we got involved with other events, people would say, why is Dick's Sporting Goods doing a Halloween race? And why is Dick's Sporting Goods doing 6.6K? And the answer to that was, we're not Dick's Sporting Goods, but we had done such an awesome job of branding our race that nobody knew who the heck we were, that we were just this nonprofit that sat behind the event and really were pulling all the strings and making things happen. So our goal was to brand ourselves, and that's really something that we're trying very hard to do, so that if somebody wants to run an event in Pittsburgh, that you're going to look for a P3R event versus another event in the city, because we've had rock and roll come to town, I believe we've had the color run in town. So we do have competition, and our market is filling up as well. As I said, we wanted to talk about revenue producing units and what are our long-term partnerships, and what would, where are we going with that? And I think, again, we were looking at some of those top-tiered partners like the Pirates, the Steelers, and the Penguins to help us support some bigger events in the city. And then we wanted to expand and develop our programming. So we had a lot of programming, and even with that, people didn't get it. They didn't get who we were. We have some really amazing programming that wasn't well talked about. So one is our Run for a Reason charity program. This year alone, we raised $1.5 million, and it's still growing as to what we've raised this year, partnering with 100 different charities. Now that started, I believe it was year 2, and we had about 20 charities that first year. So we don't raise the money for the charities. The charities raise the money, and they use our event. They leverage our event to raise the money for their charities. And some of them now at this point raise so much money that they've gotten rid of some of their gala events, because they can do the fundraising for the majority of their year through our event. And we're very proud of that. It's not us, it's them. They're the ones that do the hard work. But they're also helping bring runners to our event, which is fantastic. And then we also have a Kids of Steel program. It's an exercise and nutrition program. And we started that in year 2. Well, we did have a kids marathon the first year, but the program itself didn't start till year 2. We now have 120 schools that are involved with the program, and we are actually in West Virginia and Pennsylvania as well. So we're starting to expand the program. I think our biggest obstacle right now is funding. We're getting some grant dollars in order to bring in staff to support what we do. So it's an 18-week program. It's free. We give it to the schools, and what it is the kids essentially run each week and progressively try to get to their 25th mile before the kids marathon. So for the kids marathon on race weekend, they will run their last mile. A lot of them will run more than 26 miles in the course of this, but it's a way to get kids up and running and being excited about nutrition too. They have to taste a bunch of different vegetables. We call it Taste the Rainbow, so they have to taste different colored vegetables. We have a nutritionist that we contract with that's in our office. We do have one dedicated staff member to this as well. And it's just an amazing program, and it has helped spur on running again in the city. I mean, it's a really easy entry. You need tennis shoes. We know that the kids are excited about it. And then it's become more of a year-round event too. So we've been working with YMCA camps. We've been working there's a Summer Dreamers program that's part of the City of Pittsburgh schools. And basically it's an academic program in the morning, and then in the afternoon they do activities. And we donated a coach that goes in every day to these schools and does running games and relay games and fun games to teach them how to exercise. Many of these kids just don't exercise at all. And then part of that program and some of the money that we raise over the years is we give the kids free tennis shoes. And we give them a free registration to run in the GNC Live Well Liberty Mile. Because many of these kids even though they live in this city, they may never have been downtown, and most of them have never run a race before. Some interesting things about that is when you give them the shoes, the first year we gave them the shoes, and the shoes never came back, and they were selling them on the streets and making some money for their families. So at this point now, the kids come, they put the shoes on, they check them out. At the end of the day, we collect the shoes, and then but at the end of the program, the kids take the shoes home and they're theirs, and usually they've had a few weeks of wear, so hopefully they won't be selling them on the streets. But we've learned a lot about some of the needs that are right underneath our noses, and we really want to support that. As part of that, we created something called Project Run, which is within the Kids of Steel program, and that is reaching underserved neighborhoods. So once we got into the Summer Dreamers program, we realized that there were some majorly underserved neighborhoods within the city of Pittsburgh. And what we've done is we even have our nutritionist that will go to some of these after-school programs and teach the kids how to cook. cook a basic meal. They can take some of that food home. They might be able to cook then for their family because maybe their parent works all day. We were giving away gallons of milk for some of the families because they don't have the funds to get milk on a normal basis. So it was really our way of giving back to the community, and we were funding it. This wasn't anything that we were charging for. It was just a way for us to plug back and give back to the community that is so open about us taking over their streets for days and causing what we would consider a big headache for many of them. And then we also do some bus grants for those kids as well. So once again, even though they live in the city, many of them have never been to the downtown area where our events are. So we provided bus grants. And then, as I said, there were some communities in West Virginia too that we were doing some outreach to. So some of them were about an hour away from Pittsburgh. So again, we supported their transportation into the city. So it's been a really successful program. It allows us to, again, plug into our community, to give back to our community, and then to get kids running. I mean, we've had kids that cross the finish line of the 1 mile run and collapse and say they were having heart attacks because they'd never, ever, ever experienced what it feels like to run as hard as you can, or just to push yourself, or to breathe heavy. One girl said she was dying, she was suffocating. And so, I mean, for us, it's really an education process, and we've learned a whole lot over these last few years.